We're starting off with the drums. I think you have to play it in live if you want to get that Mac Miller feel. You could just use a break if you can't really play something in live yourself, but I think it's always good practice to learn how to play it in live, so give it a shot if you can. For the drum sounds, I'm using Noisy, Chill Drums Volume 1. I'll put the link down in the description. It's a free download, so check it out if you like the sound of these drums. Next, I'm just going to put in this vinyl texture sound. Now we can go straight into the chords. Now this is going to be probably the most important aspect of the entire beat because it's going to set the vibe. Analog Lab, as usual. You want to get like an electric piano, a normal piano, a pad, something like that you can just do like some 7th chords with. And let's just keep it simple for now. We'll just start off with this nice and easy C major and then just add that 7th note. Now something to put in that space, we could do like an accent or phrase, maybe like a little vocal sample, I think will work really well. So just find something that you can just drench in reverb and delay and it will sound pretty good, I think. EQ out a lot of the lows and low mids. Now we want to keep adding more and more texture, so even that initial pad, I think it's a good shout to just duplicate it, layer it in a sound that has something different to it. That is the perfect sound. We just want to make sure we get the good frequencies from that. The big thing when you're making a soundscape is the texture and the weird frequencies. I think that it doesn't matter if it sounds messy and dirty and gritty. I think that's part of what makes it really atmospheric. So if you're listening to it in headphones, it's going to really transport you to a different universe. Now I need another sound that can be higher frequency. I think a guitar is always a good shout. Mac Miller would have a lot of guitars in his music. If you can play guitar, great. If not, just put it in MIDI. It's not going to really be an issue. So it doesn't need to be perfect because we can do as much processing to it as we want. Maybe a bit of chorus on this as well. We just need to put in the bass in to really fill everything out, and you've got like the essential foundation for the entire beat done. So obviously in terms of a bass sound, you could pretty much do anything you want, but I think a good old-fashioned bass guitar, you can't go wrong. So I've really liked that last bit there. I think that could be just a bit more of a regular motif. Now essentially those are the broad strokes of what we need for one of those melancholy, down-tempo, Mac Miller, introspective sort of beats. Then you just write some lyrics and you can't really go wrong. Lost, lit, 2 AM, my mind is tripped. Got these feelings I can't work with. Thought I had separation, but it wasn't legit. Now I'm back again. Lost, lit, thought so strong trying to make me quit. Snap work well, been gone 5 years in this blip. Now my mind split, wait for the dopamine hit. Wish I had that remote like that movie Click. Used to be Happy Gilmore, but now I'm feeling like shit. Lost, lit, lost, lit, lost, lit. Now for the next beat, I want to do something maybe a little bit less melancholy, a bit more sort of happy-go-lucky in terms of the vibe. Again, we're going to start with the drums, but this time I'm going to use a drum break from that noisy drum kit. There's some really good breaks in there. I love using it when I just want to quickly get into doing a melody. And I'm also just going to layer with it this perk loop from my Genesis kit. This is a really good kit when you just need some like phrases, accents, loops, some ideas to get you started. Check it out, link in the description. You can get a decent discount from it as well. Now this time for a melody, once again, we want to start off with like a pad or an electric piano. And this time we want an actual progression. So again, sticking with the idea of 7th chords, 9th chords, those are usually going to be your best bet. But let's keep it simple because I'm not too great when it comes to building complex chord progressions. D minor 7th, nice and simple. Down to the C major 7, the same chord from the previous beat. And then again, we want to just layer the chords. So we're going to copy this down and then delete that higher melody. So let's just bounce these 2 MIDI tracks into audio and then we can just go on to a bass. Again, I want to do a bass line. Bass guitar is usually the best bet. Now I have to admit, I think bass lines, at least MIDI bass lines, are my weakness. I just can't come up with something that fits really well, but I'm going to try my best. So the root note is going to be the D. We'll copy it over, jump up to a C. Then once you've got that done, you can start drawing in notes and sort of cross your fingers a little bit, trial and error, figure it out. And then this little gap here is just calling for something. Dun, 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 dun. We could maybe try and copy what the melody is doing. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you literally just got to try out lots of different things until you stumble across, you know, the winning formula. And then we'll end it with like a descending walk down. Yeah. Pretty happy with how that's come out. Like I said, it's usually a weakness of mine, but it shows that if you just put a little bit of time into trial and error, you can usually get better at it pretty quickly. Now next up, we want to start adding more instruments for the melody. I think layering is going to be one of the best things we can do. So that little part of the melody, which we've copied in the bass line, I think that will sound good in the guitar as well. So let's do a similar thing. Keeping it really simple, you can see I'm just basically filling out a 4-bar loop, and then from there it's just going to give us all the different layers that we need when it comes to arranging and starting to do the variations and the interesting bits. So again, I think those are the broad strokes for this type of beat. All you got to do is add some lyrics, arrange it out, and you get something like this.
My regrets look just like texts I shouldn't send. And I got neighbors, they're more like strangers. We could be friends. I just need a way out of my head. I'll do anything for a way out of my head. In my own way, just feel like living some alternate reality. And I was drowning, but now I'm swimming through stressful waters to relieve, yeah, all the things I do. Spend a little time in hell. And what I won't tell you, I'll probably never even tell myself.
Okay, so it's been a few days since the last beat. This time we want to do something a lot more up-tempo, a lot more danceable, Thundercat inspired. And we're going to start off with the electric piano this time instead of the drums. This is a pretty typical progression that is also used in other Mac Miller songs as well, like What's the Use, which is the main inspiration for this type of beat as well. So now, just like before, I want to layer this sound just to make it a bit bigger, a bit more interesting. And for this one, we could maybe try putting it up 1 octave just to make sure that it's not exactly the same. Now we're going to go straight into the drums so we can just start building a bit of rhythm, and that will make everything tie together a lot easier. Again, we want to incorporate realistic drum sounds, but we want to make it, again, more danceable. So we have to keep that in mind in terms of what the pattern is. For these drum sounds, I'm using the Golden Era Hip Hop Drums pack that comes with Ableton. You can get it as a free download off their website. So we're going to start off with a kick doing a 4 to the floor pattern, pretty typical in like dance music especially. And then we'll just layer a snare in every second one. Actually, maybe we can use this snare. Just pop in another kick there. And then with the hi-hat, we want to start just putting in a bit of rhythm and using that to make it a bit more interesting and give it some more kinetic energy. So you can see I've just filled it out by throwing in some sparse hi-hats, layering the kick so it just has a bit more oomph to it, and then also playing around with the velocity on the different sounds, making sure it still sounds realistic. Now we've got something we can groove to and add in more percussive layers later if we need to. Next, I want to do the bass. Now, obviously, I'm no Thundercat and I don't even have a bass guitar. So we're just going to use a MIDI bass, but we're going to just jazz it up by using Guitar Rig. I want the bass to sound a bit similar to that signature Thundercat bass sound that he has in Them Changes. So I've put in this chain of modules just to give it that interesting effect. I'm just going to try and make something as interesting and kinetic as possible just by recording it in. So fingers crossed we can get something good. And if you're not comfortable doing it this way, just draw in the notes like I did in the last beat and sort of figure it out bit by bit. Pretty good, I think. Now, of course, we can mess about with the processing on it just to try and get the most out of that sound, especially in the mid and higher mids. As simple as that, we've now got the foundation for everything else, and we can start filling out a lot of random synth sounds and doing like lead lines, counter melodies, etc. So let's just jump into Analog Lab and mess about. Ooh. A good bell sound is always going to work good. I think some strings are always going to be a good shout as well, just to fill it out in the chorus and adding another sort of natural instrument. Let's add another sound from here. You can see it's a lot of just random improvising, just making sure I'm staying in the right scale, layering a lot of notes and little melodies that have already been done before. So again, now we've built this 8-bar loop that's got the main sounds we need. We can just stretch it out and arrange it and add some little bits and bobs, and we'll hopefully be left with something pretty cool and positive and easy to dance to.
You can love it, you can leave it. They say nothing without it. Don't let them keep you down. What if I don't need it? There's something about it that just freaks me out. Yeah, okay, we colder than the breeze, but the breeze ain't flowing like me, motherfucker. Hold up, you don't need to hold up. Yeah. And I can show you how I seem, what it is, what it truly might be, nothing that you know of.
Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments which of these was your favorite beats, and if you want to see more videos like this, check out this playlist right here.